Hello everyone. I'm using artificial intelligence to voice this video essay I wrote. I can't get on the mic today because I'm busy hustling between New York and Connecticut for the next few days. But hey, I'll be at AEW this Wednesday and Thursday night in Boston, Massachusetts, so let's dive into it. Today, we need to talk about Mariah May and her interest in jumping ship to WWE. First off, it's crucial to acknowledge that this isn't some sudden whim for her. This has been a long-held dream. I don't blame her for wanting to pursue it. This isn't a petty critique of AEW. It's more like a wake-up call. It reminds me of a friend who's grinding it out at Yale Hospital, putting in time to land a better gig at Yale University. He's got his eyes on the prize, better benefits, more visibility. He loves his job, but he's got a plan. Mariah May is in a similar boat, and it's high time her aspirations are taken seriously. Now let's get real. Mariah May is one of the standout women in AEW, showcasing her talent in the ring, especially in her matches against Toni Storm. But let's not kid ourselves. The women's division in AEW is in dire straits. Folks, we saw it at AEW Revolution, where the match Hollywood ending between Mariah and Toni should have headlined the event instead of that snooze fest with Jon Moxley. That match had layers, it had story, emotion, and the kind of intensity that could have made history. Two women headlining a pay-per-view? Hell yeah. But here we are, still waiting for AEW to get its act together while the rest of the wrestling world moves forward. The glaring issue is that I haven't heard Mariah publicly criticize AEW, which is refreshing, but also speaks volumes about the challenges the women's division faces. The fact that she even has to consider WWE as a viable option underscores the problems at play. The women's division is teetering on the edge of irrelevancy. Just look at how they booked it. It's like they're playing with fire, hoping not to get burned while the competition is lighting up the sky. WWE is scooping up former AEW talents and booking them strong. Why? Because they know how to present these wrestlers in a way that resonates with fans. They're not just telling you, hey, if you like AEW, come watch us. They're smashing that message home with top-tier production values and compelling storylines. Look at Cody Rhodes, Jade Cargill, Stephanie Vacker, and Ricky Starks. They're not just names. They're champions. They're thriving because WWE understands the importance of creative storytelling and solid booking. Nobody's left to flounder in obscurity over there. In AEW, it's like you have to pray that Tony Khan remembers your name and that the Young Bucks are in the mood to push you. It's a damn lottery, and the odds are stacked against you. You can't just be a muscle man in AEW unless your name is Samoa Joe. If you're jacked and waiting for your moment, good luck. Unless you're in the right clique, you're just another guy lost in the shuffle. Now, let's talk about the women's division. WWE, despite its historical baggage of sexism and objectification, has made strides in how it presents female talent. In contrast, AEW still treats its women's matches like piss break segments. It's unfortunate, but it's the truth. Unless you're one of the chosen few like Toni Storm, Athena, or Mercedes Moné, you might as well be invisible. They made strides, but there's still a long way to go. AEW needs to step up its game and provide better opportunities for all its female wrestlers. If Kenny Omega is still overseeing the women's division and failing to deliver, he needs to be replaced. Tony Khan has to be all in on revitalizing the women's division, or else we'll keep seeing talented women leaving for greener pastures in WWE, TNA, or even top-tier Japanese promotions like NJPW and Stardom. Now, let's focus on the crux of the issue, the potential dead ends for Mariah May if she continues to feud with Toni Storm or Mercedes Moné. While these are undoubtedly talented wrestlers, the reliance on them could lead Mariah into a creative black hole. First up, let's talk about feuding with Toni Storm. On the surface, it seems like a golden opportunity. Toni is a star and a fan favorite. But if Mariah locks herself in a continuous feud with her, it risks becoming repetitive and stale. We've seen this play out too many times in wrestling. The same matchups, the same back and forth, and eventually, fans just tune out. If Mariah ends up in a cycle where she's constantly losing to Toni, that's a quick way to diminish her credibility. Fans want to see development, progression, and stakes. If all they see is Mariah battling Toni and coming up short, she'll fade into background, and her potential will be squandered. Now, let's get real about Mercedes Moné. Her current push in AEW is a double-edged sword. While she's undeniably talented and a big draw, having Mariah feud with her could be a dead end as well. Mercedes is positioned as an unstoppable force, and if Mariah steps into the ring with her, it could be a one-way ticket to irrelevancy. If Mercedes is booked to dominate, which seems likely, Mariah might find herself on the losing end too often. That means she's not only losing matches, but also losing the chance to build her own character and narrative. Instead of shining, she could easily become just another name in Mercedes' lengthy list of victories. And that's not a place anyone wants to be. Now, let's talk about Athena. Athena's reign as champion is impressive, sure, but it creates a tricky scenario for any challenger, including Mariah May. If Mariah were to step into a feud with Athena, she runs the risk of being overshadowed by Athena's established dominance. The company could easily have Maria lose to Athena to reinforce Athena's status as a 1,000+ day champion. That does nothing for Maria's development. Instead, it reinforces a narrative that she's just another stepping stone in Athena's journey. And let's be honest, if Maria manages to beat Athena, it raises questions about the credibility of a title that's been so poorly promoted. The Ring of Honor situation compounds these issues. It's supposed to be a developmental territory, but let's be real, it's failing to create new stars. If Maria finds herself competing for the Ring of Honor Women's Championship, that could also be a dead end. The promotion has struggled to build its brand, and it often feels like an afterthought. Why would Maria want to align herself with a division that doesn't have the momentum or visibility it needs? The risk is that she becomes another name lost in the shuffle, wrestling in front of half-empty arenas, while the bigger storylines unfold elsewhere. Moreover, the upcoming Supercard of Honor event is a prime example of how poorly Ring of Honor promotes its women's division. With a focus seemingly on defending the pure title in a convoluted setup, it highlights a lack of direction and purpose for the women's matches. If Maria ends up competing in a situation where the stakes feel low and the storytelling is weak, it could tarnish her reputation rather than elevate it. Instead of being seen as a contender for the future, she risks becoming just another name on a long list of competitors with little to show for it. But let's also take a step back and look at the broader picture of the women's roster in AEW. There's a plethora of talent that's either leaving for WWE or getting lost in the shuffle. Jade Cargill, Mariah, and others have opted for greener pastures, and it's a significant loss for AEW. The company has incredible women wrestlers, yet they're failing to capitalize on their potential. For example, why are we seeing more from Marina Shaffer and Willow Nightingale? These two have had some real animosity brewing, and it's a storyline ripe for the picking. Instead of letting that heat build and culminate in a high-stakes match, they're left to float in obscurity. Then there's Nyla Rose, a powerhouse wrestler, who should be positioned as a dominant force. Why isn't she part of a faction like the Hurt Syndicate? She could bring so much power and presence to that group, yet she's left on the sidelines. And what about Billie Starkz? She was a fixture in Ring of Honor, yet now she's not being booked as the underdog trying to find her place on the roster. The potential storylines are there. They just need to be executed. Harley Cameron was over just a few months ago in Australia, and while they had her on a great trajectory, she pivoted into quirky comedy. That's a total misstep when you got a character that resonates with fans. Maria may shouldn't be someone who has a lot of momentum only to have it fizzle out in AEW. She's got the talent and the drive to tell compelling stories. But if the company continues to drop the ball on its women's division, it risks losing her and other promotions that know how to capitalize on that potential. AEW has a wealth of stories to tell, and they need to get their shit together. They can't keep treating Ring of Honor like a forgotten stepchild. It should be a developmental ground, a place where talent can hone their craft before stepping up to the big leagues. AEW Collision could be a platform for wrestlers who need that extra polish before they hit the main stage. Dynamite should be where the best of the best shine. But right now, the best opportunities for AEW talent often seem to lie in WWE. And that's a damn shame. It points to a dysfunction that can't be ignored. Let's not forget about the creative aspect. WWE has recognized that their women's division is not just about filling a quota. They've crafted compelling storylines that keep fans invested. Just look at the narratives surrounding their women's titles. It's not just about who's holding the belt. It's about the journey that leads to that moment. AEW, on the other hand, has failed to build that connective tissue. They've got talent, Toni Storm, Athena, and Mercedes Moné, but the stories feel rushed and disjointed. If Kenny Omega is still calling the shots, he needs to step back and reassess. If he can't produce compelling arcs for these athletes, it's time for someone else to take the reins. Moreover, let's talk about the perception of women's wrestling in AEW. While they've tried to present women strongly, the reality is that the division is often overshadowed by the men's roster. If the narrative doesn't change, we're going to keep seeing fans roll their eyes and get up for snacks during women's matches. It's a damn shame because there's so much potential in this talent pool. But if AEW continues to treat their women's division as an afterthought, they'll lose even more talent to companies like WWE that are actively seeking to elevate their women. The bottom line is that AEW needs to up its game. They can't keep playing catch-up while WWE strides ahead with a clear vision for its women's division. Maria May's interest in leaving isn't just about her aspirations. It's a microcosm of a larger issue. The women's division in AEW needs serious restructuring, and it needs it now. If they want to compete, they have to invest in creative storytelling, build their stars, and stop relegating women's matches to the sidelines. In a landscape where wrestling is evolving, AEW has to recognize that the women's division is not just a sideshow. It's a vital part of what makes wrestling compelling. Until they do, we'll keep seeing talent like Maria May chasing their dreams elsewhere, and that's a narrative we need to keep telling. It's time for AEW to pull its head out of the sand and make some moves. They have to create a women's division that's not just an afterthought, but a powerhouse that can stand toe-to-toe with the best in the business. Until then, the story remains the same. Women wrestlers will continue to chase their dreams in the arms of companies that understand their worth. Let's keep talking about these issues and pushing for change because the landscape of professional wrestling deserves better.